Many people have doubts as to whether Baki's manga will go astray after Baki's fight against Yujiro, and the answer is yes. But before that we will have a great saga. Let's talk a little about that without spoilers.
Yosha!
So guys, how are you? I hope well. I'm the Monio, the interdimensional demon that talks the most about Baki on YouTube, and you're on my channel. Yes, Baki's manga doesn't end with the fight between father and son. In fact, we will have a very good saga after this, which is the legendary Samurai Saga, or Musashi Saga, which will work like the Pickle Saga. An absurdly new character Strong will be introduced, and everyone will be interested in fighting with him. But the Monio, who is this legendary samurai? Why is he so strong? Well, for those who watched Ragnarok, you must have already seen the legendary samurai. No, it's not Sasaki, it's the other guy. Yes, Musashi Miyamoto. Musashi was a real samurai who lived in feudal Japan, and is a legendary figure in history from Japan, his most famous fight being against Kojiro Sasaki, who became famous for losing to Musashi. If you want to know more about Musashi's story, I recommend the manga Vagabond, which has Musashi as the protagonist, and you will also see Sasaki as the antagonist. Returning to Baki, in this new saga, Musashi is revived through a cloning process, and his soul is brought to his body through a ritual, so he continues with all the memories of his entire life in the era of the samurai, and he is introduced into the story as the new challenge for Baki and his friends to face. But the Monio, is Musashi really strong? Will we have good fights with him? Yes, Musashi is extremely strong. There are only 3 characters in Baki who managed to make Yujiro bleed in a fight: Kakukeo, Baki, and Musashi. To give you an idea, in the fight against Kakukeo it is said that Yujiro is like a lion who sees everyone else as his prey, but Musashi is the only character who is seen by Yujiro not as prey, but as another predator, another lion. In fact, Musashi is probably the most lethal character in the entire work, even more than Yujiro, and if Musashi fought seriously with his swords, I believe that half of Baki's cast would not survive. In fact, this is a very interesting element that is added in this saga, the use of weapons. Of course we have many examples of characters who have used weapons, but nothing even close to the level that Musashi is at, as he is an absolute master in his style of fighting. So know that we will have extremely bloody scenes in the Musashi Saga, since even when the physical sword is not used, Musashi applies other non-lethal techniques, and he manages to attack the enemy in such effective ways that the representation of the lethality of the blow is always shown. So things can get a little violent when he simply doesn't decide to literally cut the person in half with his katana. This saga will have great fights. Musashi faces most of the Baki cast, and we will have many fights. Among the most notable we will have the fight against Yujiro, which will serve to introduce Musashi and show what he is capable of. We will have a fight against Retsukeo, which is one of the most memorable in the work. We will also have a fight between Musashi and Pickle. Yes, our primitive man will fight against the legendary samurai, and it will be one of the most brutal fights ever seen in Baki. And of course that we will also have a fight against Baki, which promises to have a lot of protagonism for the ogre's son. Furthermore, this saga is especially remarkable because we will have the death of a very important character, and it is a very emotional and impactful moment in history, since this character I believe has many fans. But the Monio, why did you say that Baki's story is aimless? I'll answer you, because in my opinion, it's really aimless. Musashi will be the last big challenge that Baki will face, and after that the story becomes unfocused, since we've been following Baki since he was 13 years old, and since at this time he tries to get stronger, and his focus has always been to find powerful fighters so that he can challenge and thus become stronger. So all the characters that Baki faced throughout the sagas served as a ladder for him to evolve as fighter, and thus managed to eventually defeat his father. The problem is that the manga reaches a point where Baki becomes stronger than all the other fighters, and still, he is not able to overcome Yujiro. So we will no longer have big challenges for Baki, and despite having other cool fights starring him, we will no longer have that sense of challenge that we had in the fight against Oliva, for example. And at a certain point, the manga will stop focusing on Baki, and little by little the protagonist's objective will be forgotten. Baki will continue to appear and fight, but he will become a supporting character in his own story, just like other characters. So we can say that Baki will continue to be the main character, especially because he is the one who gives the manga and anime its name, but he will no longer be the protagonist. That is, he will no longer be the character who will move the story forward, and the manga becomes much more about the other fighters. And this makes me think that the way the last arc adapted by Netflix was done, it makes perfect sense, since in the arc of the father versus son fight, unlike the manga, the anime made a point of making it clear that that would be the final to the arc involving Baki's relationship with his father, which was a good decision, from the point of view of story continuity. But is the Monio, the Musashi Saga, the last season of the manga? And I'll tell you no, Baki's manga continues to be released to this day. In fact, Baki is one of the biggest mangas that exist, bigger than others like One Piece or JoJo, so don't worry about the manga, because there's plenty of material for Netflix to adapt, and we can expect a lot of cool things. For example, Sukun, a new character who is extremely powerful, considered the god of sumo, and who will have a big fight against Oliva. We can also wait for the prisoners to return. I mean, no, they won't come back, and if they do, it will only be to get beaten up, that's it. But the Monio, when will Netflix release this new anime saga? Is there any prediction yet? Well, at the time this video was made, there is no production in progress and no forecast for the anime adaptation of this new saga, but I believe that Netflix will eventually produce this new season, most likely as a separate anime. So how she decided to separate Baki and Baki Hanma, making two different animes. It's amazing how Netflix loves to make everything complicated for Baki fans. Remembering that I already made a video with 30 facts that you probably don't know about Baki, there I include the inspiration for most of the characters, especially Yujiro Hanma. Seriously, there are a lot of interesting things for you to know about this guy and the work like a whole, even things that weren't included in the anime, about Baki's mother and Jack Hanma's mother. I'll leave the video link on the final screen for you to watch. But what about you? Do you also follow Baki? Have you read the Musashi Saga in the manga? Leave it in the comments without giving spoilers, and if you like the video, subscribe to follow the next ones. Until next time my people, demonic hugs.